Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some relationship stories with a bit of workplace stuff going on as well. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Very cheeky. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story was a little cheeky request over on Twitter, and I'm always happy to get involved, and it's from a throwaway account who says, me, 29 female, with my vegan co-worker, 29 female, I don't know how to deal with her. As the title states, I have this vegan co-worker, we'll call her Vegan, who is very active on Facebook and in the office about being vegan and how cruel farming is and everything. Each to their own. I don't necessarily disagree with her views on animal cruelty, but here's the thing. I'm a hunter. Not a trophy hunter, but I do shoot feral pigs, rabbits, ducks, introduced classified game ducks, and foxes, and I fish too. All except for the fish are classified as pests. Foxes especially kill native wildlife and farm animals, and farmers will often put you up on their property for free to hunt them. I pass tests here, especially for identification of game ducks versus protected species, and practice ethical hunting. I.e., allow the animal to have a fair chase, no dogs or tracking devices, practicing marksmanship and dispatching prey swiftly and humanely and not wasting the meat. None of that is obviously good enough for Vegan. When she first came onto the team and told everyone she was vegan, I kept my mouth shut about my hunting. I also think she's really intolerant because she preaches to people about how going vegan will help with their various ailments and always turns up her nose at people heating up meat in the microwave. As a result, we've kind of consciously started to exclude her when we get up for lunch. However, last year I started going hunting more regularly with a work friend from another department, whose uncle owns a farm where feral pigs and like are an issue, and he often swings by to have a chat about guns/bows and our next trip, and she found out I was a hunter. This isn't even at our desks, it's in the kitchen area that has tables and stuff. We sometimes eat our lunches together. Ever since then, every conversation I've had with her, she's referred to hunting and how cruel it is. One time I wore a leather pencil skirt to work and she had a go at me for wearing animal products. She seems to have singled me because of the fact that I go hunting. My boss has no spine. I've tried talking to him about this, but she just intimidates him and makes it seem like she's being persecuted and he's backed down from that. She even tried to get a vegan shelf in the fridge and tried to rope in some Hindu vegetarian guys to do that, but they pointed out that they use milk and cheese and honey in their cooking. They also think she's nuts. It's gotten to the point where we go out for drinks on Friday night at 5 and we never ask her. I don't organize these things, a co-worker does, but my boss told me. When I brought it up in a one-on-one meeting, that she feels left out and she seems to think it's my fault because I've been here for longer and I'm somehow poisoning them against her or something. I have since been conscious of this, and if anyone starts conversation about vegan, I just say I don't talk to her unless it's work related and she's more than adequate at her job. It's actually become something of a joke or catchphrase. I told my boss I don't organize anything except official events and she's always been invited. If she's not invited to informal stuff that's not even organised by me, then that's not my problem. The co-worker that doesn't invite her, she managed to piss him off because he's eaten guinea pig. He's from Peru, and she asked him if he'd eaten any of his other pets. For the record, he never ate a guinea pig that was a pet. It's something they eat in Peru. Whenever she brings up hunting or anything, I just point blank ask her there was anything work related that she wanted to talk about, and if there wasn't, I would start talking to someone else or just walk off. I asked her multiple times to keep conversations work related. I never started a conversation with her at all. Most of the time she pounces when I'm in the kitchen making tea, getting water, or just stretching my legs. One time last week a group of us were talking and she got up to join the discussion. A horrible silence fell over the group to the point where I just excused myself and went to my desk, and so did a few others. It all came to a head in our team meeting today when our boss, usually at the end, asks if there's any positive news or celebrations outside of work people want to share, like engagements, marathons, charity appeals, etc. And Vegan sarcastically asked me how many lives I'd taken last weekend. I'd got annoyed and said her constant badgering me about my hobbies and choice to eat meat was discriminatory and bothersome, and that unless it was work related, she was not to engage me in conversation otherwise, and told our scribe to put that in the meeting minutes. She seemed a bit shocked by that, and my boss looked uncomfortable but said fair enough. I thought that was the end of that, but right before our boss went to close the meeting, 2 other co-workers also put their hands up and asked Vegan to only engage them in work-related discussions, and that they were also uncomfortable being given non-medical health advice pertaining to their choice to consume meat and their diets. Again, boss looked uncomfortable but asked Vegan to respect their wishes and close the meeting. Vegan didn't look anyone in the eye after that, but headed straight to the bathroom. My boss was trying to get one of the co-workers to see if she was okay, and I think one of them eventually checked up on her. But she was in a cubicle and asked to be left alone. She eventually came out and asked my boss to leave early, which she did. I feel awful now. She embarrassed me in front of my team with the lives taking comments, so I pushed back, but I'm caught in between not wanting her to be miserable and not wanting anything to do with her at all. A few of my co-workers and I ended up in a proactive conference call after this with HR, who basically said that always being subjected to unwanted advice and jabs about eating meat was not okay, but some mediation was in order, was ensured to cut the tension in the workplace. The HR rep called my boss to explain what happened in the team meeting and complaints that we'd made one-on-one, etc. But then he went into a meeting room and didn't hear the rest of the discussion. I don't know what to do, assuming she comes into work tomorrow, or if I should even talk to her at all. And we do have an update to this post. Now, before I start off, you've got to start off with the obligatory: I'm not against vegans, vegetarians, or anything like that. I'm a meat eater myself. And in some ways, it's not even about that. It's more about her attitude towards others and pushing her views on others. She's going to struggle in any workplace she goes to, unless it's an all-vegan workplace, of course, as she's likely to encounter meat eaters. And what's she going to do? Confront them as well about their choices of eating meat and their diets and stuff like that? She's the one that's making everyone else around her uncomfortable. And to be called out in the meeting like you did like that, to how many lives have you ended this weekend or whatever, I would be absolutely furious as well. And I think OP handled it the best way that they could. You know, they didn't get aggressive or anything like that. They just said, can we just keep it to work conversations only? And I think that's the best way to go about it. And I think if someone tried to call me out in a meeting like that and treat me that way, I wouldn't be extending my hand out to them like that. I'd be doing like you said, keep it work friendly, you know, and say hello in the morning maybe, and that's even pushing it. And then just keep it to work conversation only. That's all it needs to be in the workplace. You can't feel guilty for her not being invited to workplace events when she's causing this on herself, and hopefully it will be a lesson learned for her. I don't know if it will be, but hopefully it will be. God, and this just gave me a flashback to one of my previous workplaces when we was outside at the sandwich van. I'm sure you guys know about these, but a van that comes round around lunchtime and then it's full of sandwiches and various other bits of food. And a co-worker bought a cheese and ham sandwich, and you know, someone who was similar and not quite as opinionated as this story sounds, but you know, said something about this cheese and ham sandwich, and in the end, let me tell you, there was grated cheese and ham everywhere. But yeah, I'll tell you about that another time. Looked like a good sandwich as well, to be fair, but anyway. Silly you says, chiming in as a vegan here. She is being completely ridiculous. She has now created a hostile workplace for you and your co-workers. As a vegan in the world, she cannot expect to never encounter meat eaters. It's one thing to state your opinions, but it's quite another to berate your co-workers. If she didn't want to work with meat eaters, she should choose a vegan company to work for. Do not engage her further. She's been harassing you. This is her problem now. Fuckity-doo says, great name, you're doing everything right, really. I wouldn't change a thing. You're by the book, and if your boss is spineless in dealing with a bag of shithead crazy, that's for him to work out with HR when he gets his butt chewed. You have every right to push back on someone who harasses you at work, and you are not being cruel. You are being professional. Well done. A deleted user says, I have nothing productive to add, but I love the image of the Hindu guys tapping out of her vegan cruelty-free nuttiness. Springheel Jill says, as other people have noted, she's a bully. She's been working hard to establish dominance. I'm surprised she hasn't been peeing on people's desks. Leave her alone. Don't extend your hand to her. Just politely nod when you see her, have the professional conversations you need to have with her, and get on with your life. Since she's a bully, any attempt to jolly her along may have been seen as a weakness. Bullies gotta bully, so I would not trust any apparent change in behaviour, at all. She'll probably just gun for revenge. You've got a wishy-washy boss, yes? I wonder how hard she'd have to work to get him to take her course. Be rigorously professional with her, dot every I, cross every T, triple check that she is not even for a nanosecond outside of any loop in which she has a professional concern. If you're talking with other people when she walks in a room, you should all probably make a point of acknowledging her presence with a wave and a smile before returning to conversation. You don't want accusations that you guys are plotting or otherwise freezing her out, etc. Maybe consult HR on how best to move forward so that everyone's ass is covered. Ironic Dancer says, I know you are uncomfortable and feel guilty, but this is essentially your boss's fault. You made a boundary request, you didn't attack her as a person. You cited the behavior you wanted stopped, and that was all. He should have pulled her aside and said there had been complaints about her pushing her views unsolicited onto other co-workers and that it was inappropriate. That she should consider this a verbal warning, and the next time would be written, and the third time would be termination. That is the boss's job. He didn't do it, and now everyone else had to confront her and make her feel bad. She had brought this on herself, and your boss enabled it. It isn't your responsibility to fix it. ETA, and I hate hunting and was a vegetarian for a long time. The situation isn't a belief problem, it's a behavior problem. And one more from Guess who says, this is not on you, you've done everything right. She has the freedom to make her own choices and the office respects her lifestyle choices. No one is going up to her and demanding she start eating meat. It's her problem that she can't extend the same courtesy to you and the rest of the office. So let her face the consequences. Maybe this jarring event will slap her awake to what a jerk she's being. Edit. I just also want to point out it's incredibly insensitive of her to berate someone for partaking in their cultural dish. Guinea pigs are a staple in some parts of Peru. That's like shaming an Argentinian for eating beef. Very disrespectful. And now, with that being said, let's move on to the update to find out what happened next. Updates. So the meeting happened on Friday. HR lady was very much a let's all get along type and very enthusiastic and eager to mediate with buzzwords and talk about feelings. HR contacted me and I told them to get Vegan's perspective first so that she wouldn't complain not getting a chance to get her point of view. The co-worker, who was a cancer survivor, had gotten progressively more annoyed at what happened after the meeting with Vegan taking off, so I told her she was welcome to take the lead in the meeting because her issues could have an actual health impact. She took up most of the time actually talking about how Vegan kept giving her unsolicited, medically unsubstantiated advice on cancer treatment and prevention, and HR and boss started looking uncomfortable and concerned. A few other co-workers, like the one with celiac, especially also mentioned unsolicited advice. My Peruvian co-worker brought up insensitivity and the eating your pets comment, and I didn't know Vegan said this to the Hindu co-worker, but apparently Vegan had told Hindu that veganism would make him a better Hindu because it eliminated all animal cruelty or something. A few people started laughing at this, and one co-worker joked that Vegan was like the vegan Amway, always selling something that nobody was interested in. So I'd been pretty quiet at that point, and HR asked me why I'd asked Vegan to only speak about work-related matters, and I told her that I'm a hunter and briefly explained that I believe in ethical hunting and how it befitted endangered species, etc. But Vegan kept on calling it murder, had a dig at me for my leather skirt, even though other people had leather shoes, leather handbag, and HR injected that her Filofax was real leather, and I told her that talking to Vegan was stressful and demoralizing, and she'd refused to respect my boundaries when I asked her on other occasions to keep things work-related. So then the mediation began and Vegan was brought in and other co-workers left. I basically said exactly what I'd said before to Vegan with HR and boss there, that I respected her lifestyle choice and how passionate she was about making a change, but I disagreed with her on certain points, and even if she didn't agree with my lifestyle choices, it was unfair of her to single me out or harass me about them. Vegan said that to her. What I was doing was morally unconscionable and she didn't believe in exploiting animals. I told her that her iPhone, her clothes, her computer were all produced via human exploitation and that the quinoa that she loves so much has affected local income farmers in Bolivia. And then I qualified. I told her it was great. She had a thing to try and improve the world, but I also had a different perspective and different issues I was more passionate about, and that I had respected her point of view and she should respect mine. Vegan's response to all this was, "It's still murder." HR looked annoyed at this point and said that Vegan was not trying to find a middle ground. So I turned to HR and said this was why there was no middle ground, and that's why I thought keeping things civil and work related, because in the end we're here to do a job. HR agreed, boss agreed, I agreed, Vegan grudgingly agreed, and HR wrote all this down. And I had mediation meeting minutes saying all of this emailed to the four of us. Anyway, boss called us into a meeting around lunch and said it was good that we're able to talk about things outside of work because it's good team bonding, but it had come to his attention that there was unsolicited health advice and cultural sensitivity issues in the team that we'd be discussing in our next team meeting. And we'd had a productive session but needed to focus on work and keep our spirits up. Vegan had a meeting with boss after that and went home early. We had to come in on Saturday, and today, end of month stuff. This happens when the end of month falls on a weekend. I'm in finance, we get time in lieu. I just gave Vegan a cheerful good morning, to which she didn't respond, and when she handed me a file and said she was leaving, I just said thank you for your work today and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Vegan kinda grunted at me and left. I'm just gonna keep it civil like HR said, and let Vegan dig her own hole. I still feel a bit sorry for her. I think she feels attacked, but at least it got her off my back for the time being. And like I said before, you're doing the right thing in this. She's going to continue to be aggressive towards you or ignore you and create a hostile workplace. That's down to her, and she will get herself in trouble in the end. As long as you keep your notes, and like one other comment said, dot your I's, cross your T's, just keep everything in order and don't be, passive aggressive towards her or anything. I think you'll be absolutely fine. And like you said, she will dig her own hole. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story is from Pineapple5421, who says, "Am I the arsehole for refusing to wake up my husband and son every morning? My husband, 41 male, son, 16 male, and I, 42 female, have our own bedrooms on separate floors of the house. Husband and son decided to buy Bluetooth devices that have a chime/natural sunrise alarm function. Unfortunately, the chime and light don't wake them up. I get up at 6 and have to leave the house by 7 after I shower, feed the pets, put dinner in the crockpot, etc. Am I the arsehole for insisting that the men in the house take responsibility for waking themselves up? They've been late to school and work several times in the last month and get annoyed at me because I left without making sure they were up and moving. I suggested that they go to bed earlier, find a better alarm, blah blah blah, but neither one has changed anything." And the comments on this one are pretty much replying to the update, which we're going to cover in just a second, but definitely not the asshole from my point of view. The fact that you have to wake them up when, they should be responsible for their own timings, especially husband who's an adult, and son's got to learn quickly that, he's responsible for his own time, etc. But the update looks to be a pretty funny one, so let's move straight into it. We're going to start with a little edit that was on that post, which said, "Edit, thanks for the suggestions and support. I've ordered an air horn." Yes, really, and it's nice to know I'm not the arsehole. We'll continue to work with son. It's not too late for him. So then we're moving on to what is called the air horn update. It arrived on Sunday from Amazon. 6 on the dot this morning, I stood on the first floor landing and let it rip for a solid 5 seconds. From upstairs I hear husband yelling, "Ah, what the shit?" Son comes running upstairs in a panic. Apparently he thought it was a tornado siren. Oops. It was magical. Everyone awake at 6. Husband thought the air horn idea was hysterical. Son is pissed, but he's 16 and will get over it. He's promised to put me in a cheap nursing home. Best of all, it opened a dialogue over dinner tonight, and we've ordered 2 old-fashioned, super annoyingly loud traditional alarm clocks. And OP added one more little comment below all that, which said son moved from 2nd floor into the finished basement bedroom, and hubby used to work a weird shift, so we got used to not sleeping in the same room. And oh, to be a fly on the wall in that house at that morning. Not that I wake up at that time, gee whiz. And on this one, I think it'd be really great to get like an update in a few months to see if their behavior did actually change or they're still waking up late. And is, wife still having to use the air horn? I think this story really belonged in malicious compliance. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me, and I never ever can express the difference you really do make to the channel. So thank you for what you do. Please continue to do it as well. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today